Metal Gear Explained here with the ultimate recap of everything for Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. This is a remake. We have covered it thoroughly with many videos, but we felt it was time to give you guys a all-in-one recap of all the information that has been released. Feel free to share your thoughts and opinions with this down below as we take you on this journey through the development and leading up to what I believe we're going to get the official announcement before 2024 ends. And I'm assuming sometime early 2025, this game will be ready to go. Super exciting times. And our YouTube has also just got partnered with YouTube. And that is because of you. So I just want to thank you guys. We're going to have giveaways, which we already have, and events for you guys throughout the year. So super grateful and thankful. Okay, let's get into it. First thing I want to talk about is that this is a remake, a true one-to-one remake that they decided it was important to keep the story. No changes to the story at all, no changes to the voice actors at all, and the overall game structure as well has been kept the same for the most part. Basically, they said they didn't want to change that. And so that is going to stay the core of the game. But you wonder, like, okay, well, if everything is going to stay, what is new and what is different? And this is where we'll get into all of the very cool things that they are changing and that they're planning. And they want to hopefully give us the best possible game. In my opinion, it's gonna be the best game of the year. Whatever year it comes out, there's gonna be hardly any game that can top these perfect 10 that it was. So I would assume, as long as there's isn't any bugs or issues, it should be right up there as a candidate for game of the year. But yes, let's talk about some of the changes and things that are coming. And you're gonna be watching some of the comparisons that we have as far as visuals. And the first thing I want to talk about is the visuals. Unreal Engine is incredible, and they had hands-on, which I'm going to talk about a little later about their impressions, but the hands-on said that there's some amazing stuff with the visuals. And as you can see, the upgrade is tremendous. I mean, if you zoom in to Snake, you can see his pores and all of that good stuff. So it's really cool. The second thing that they pretty much did for gameplay is modernized it, allowing players to change the camera and change their controllers. So the old controllers were a little bit old school. You had to hold a button and then let it go to shoot, and it was all of this extra stuff that is out of date as for the modern gamer. And since they want to make this game for the current generation, to introduce it to them and then as well bring back guys like myself who love the series, they said that it was important that they had modern controls and the camera, which the camera is going to be in third person if you want it to be, or you can go over the top, which is the original classic. So a lot of modern accessibility, a lot of UI changes that you're allowed to make as well, like the filter for the original game, which was kind of a yellow color. You're watching some of it as we talk about this. All of that stuff, they confirmed that it is in the game. It's features that you're able to turn on and off and decide how you want to experience the game for yourself. And I think that's very important. As you can see on the left, the yellowish colors, not that it's bad, but that's more of what Kojima was looking for, to kind of give you the classic look of that era. And so they wanted to give people that chance to have that. There's multiple filters, and it's really nice that they put that into the game as far as giving people something. And so it's very important to just think about that and put that into your context of information that they have. Then there was a load, and I mean a load of hands-on impressions. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that the developers were saying. They said they wanted to make this remake, for those that are new, because this is the origin story, but mostly because of the high demand of a remake for this game. So they felt like this is the right way to introduce people, because it is the origin story of Snake. big boss. I don't want to spoil the story, so we're not going to get into it on this video, because a lot of new people are probably wondering about the game. I want to take you guys into consideration. Apologies for anybody who's never played Metal Gear and is on the channel and loves the content. I tend to forget that not everybody's hardcore as me and make some videos that are just a little bit spoiler heavy. So we'll try to be considerate in the future. But as you can see, you know, this game's cutting edge visuals, the 3D sound is what they said we'll have. There's plenty of amazing things that you'll see from the Unreal Engine 5 that they're using. They wanted to make an effort to put the jungle environment more realistic. Also, they have the injury system. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but basically you get injured in this game. It's kind of a survival game where you need to heal yourself, like literally go into a menu to change and heal. And so that is in the game now, and it's important because they basically making it even better. So like your marks of your damages, your wounds will still be there even if you heal them and things like that. So I think that's amazing. They upgraded the OG compressed sound and trying to fix that and make it even better. You can use as you can see in these visuals that I'm showcasing, the third person over the shoulder camera, which is the one that we're used to in modern games, or you can do over the top if you feel like it. And so to me, that's exciting and interesting. And last but not least, about just general things that they kind of confirmed, the developer was talking about how they basically don't have a creative director and they're working as a team on this humbly to make sure everybody's all together and creating this really good environment of getting it right. Okay, with that said, I'm gonna get into some of the hands-on previews. I don't know if you guys seen any of these from my previous videos. I don't want to dive too deep into the screenshots. We have them. I'm gonna show them to you guys, but remember, you know, we have other videos. We broke this stuff down. You can see very cool stuff with the camo here. We're gonna get into some of these topics about what you're seeing here and just go down the list of the hands-on preview event. So one of the first things that they said is that most likely there's going to be a release date reveal this year. Tokyo Game Show most likely will be the one, and that's exciting, interesting, and I personally cannot wait. And they started talking about a lot of key things overall for the game that I wanted to kind of touch on. We're going to go through the list here. So first things first, they do have credit for Kojima in the beginning when the game opens up. It says originally directed by Hideo Kojima. That's a respect thing. I love it. Important. The demo was playing at 30 FPS fidelity mode, but Konami confirmed that there's a 60 FPS mode coming as well. So that is very cool. They talked about the fidelity and how it packs a punch, basically looking really good. And when you zoom in on the camera during a cutscene, you can see the pores on Snake's skin. They talked about the environments look so incredible. You know, they talked about the quality of life changes for accessibility. You're able to, for example, put on permanent center screen reticle, so you're able to have perfect aim every time. And then I talked about the camo menu and the things that they had. And this is kind of speculation because they didn't explain it properly, in my opinion. And I would have been more thorough because I would have asked Konami directly. But as you can see right here, this is in game. I don't know if they just put that on top of the game, but one of them said that they pressed the D-pad up and they were able to go to the camo. They didn't explain it in full detail the way I would prefer, but this is something that if it's in game and it's real time without pausing, that is game changing because we're so used to playing this game with the pause on everything that you do when you switch a weapon or anything. So it would be cool if it isn't like that. I'll take whichever way it goes. It's not that big of a deal for me personally, but share your thoughts about that. But yeah, And then they have things like the mud making you close to invisible, like it's stuff, like it's its own camo index, which is cool. They talked about the controls, how it felt very modern. They didn't have to do all these extra button presses the way the old Metal Gear games used to. And they said there's a dedicated button to rolling, and it's triangle. Now, here's the thing. The Phantom Pain had diving, and it's the only game that had diving. And the rest of the Metal Gear games let you roll. You never could dive. And so they talked about diving as well, but they didn't give the details on what they were saying properly. And so until we get more information, again, these journalists aren't like me, where I'll just make sure I know all these details and share them properly. It was one of the biggest things is when you're getting through certain areas, it'll load you in, take a couple seconds, which sucks for speedrunners. And then it also sucks just in general, old day consoles. Now, it basically confirmed that the stages are the exact same, even with the loading screen, but there's no loading this time. So you're gonna be able to go through an area and then load into the next one instantly. And so that's important, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that, to have that a little more modern. And so that's important. Then they had some extra information when it comes to the one and the only, the lovely, we're going to showcase it right now, and you guys can tell me what y'all feel about this lovely duckling and the frogs. And you're able, supposedly, again, they didn't give context to this, a camouflaged duck. They said that it's possible for you to get the ghillie suit. It's unclear all about the bonus collections and things of that nature. And so, speaking of bonus collection, what made me think about was the original game allowed you to, in the beginning, decide like, hey, what was your favorite Metal Gear? And it only gave you a couple options. So you can say part 2 and you'll get Raiden's mask and things like that. But now they have even more options than before. So Peace Walker, MGS4, and now the Metal Gear Solid V will be added. They didn't say what rewards or things like that that's going to be in there. But it's exciting, it's interesting, and it's just something so fun to kind of get excited for and hope for and want the best from this game. And I just kind of want to touch on a couple things that they talked about, but again, the journalists weren't doing their job the way I have. Back when they did this MGS Hotline show, one of the producers were saying that stay tuned for our online features. We're going to be talking about that soon. And he was one of the guys who worked on Metal Gear Online. So for him to say that, I assume, again, we have to take it with a grain of salt, please, that the online feature is going to be there at some point for Versus. Of course, online can also just mean like digital downloads, like some camo or something that's in the game that's downloadable, like DLC. They tend to consider that online as well. But I'm pretty sure, I have like full confidence that we are going to get 100% the online mode back. And I made videos about it. And then they talked about it again in another interview and said, we're working on it. I will comment more later. And somebody said that. Then on this hands-on preview, when they asked Konami, which I'm sure they were just asking the managers, and they said no comment. They smiled and said no comment. And so take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to take it with a mountain of salt. I think it's happening, guys. And this is important to me because I played online tournaments since the beginning, and I want to host tournaments for the community and just have a fun time celebrating the game. And so it should be a blast. I'm going to do a lot of great things once that gets announced as well. To kind of touch on some of the stuff I've covered and that I've talked about was the different content that's possible for bonus content. We've seen that they've implemented tons of stuff like the screenplay book, the master book for the master collection. Those are basically like a guide for the master book, and then the screenplay is pretty much all of the text and information. And if you want to kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about, let's go ahead and dive down the rabbit hole and showcase to you guys the master collection itself. This is basically a collection of Metal Gear games. There's a ton of them. And if I was to go over here, this is just one of many. And it's called Master Collection Volume 1. There's going to be a part 2 soon, I would assume. After Snake Eater comes out, they'll announce that. But as you can see, screenplay, I can go in here and just read all of the text and go through all these pages. It's a lot of information. But the point is, you have all of that there for yourself. Sorry for the spoilers if anybody's new to the series and read that very quickly. I don't want to go through it all. But again, this is going to have spoilers as well, but I just want to breeze through it. And again, I'm in the wrong chapter. Apologies. But in here is definitely a lot of cool information. You can get all the details. Close your eyes if you don't want spoilers. But this is a remake. I would assume people know about the game a little bit. But in here, incredible stuff. And I do believe that they'll make a master collection with something different. Okay, this is not going to be what they'll put into it. I just kind of wanted to give you an idea, and then you can download some different things, which I already have, and you can select the game type here. Now this is a remake for the actual game, so let's not use that as an example. I talked about things like Snake Tales. Snake Tales was something for Metal Gear Solid 2 where you played as Raiden as the main character, but they had a side mode that was called Snake Tales, and it was just like 5-6 missions where you play as Snake, and it's just alternate stories, not real, nothing to do with the lore, just some fun stuff and just a little extra gameplay with Solid Snake, which is what we really wanted. So I can see them doing something like that, kind of having fun. In the old days, they had the cool monkey, Capture the Monkeys, has another game mode in there. You know, it's modern 2024. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be as important for something to add, but we'll see. And they can do a lot of different things for us. I mean, Peace Walker had the co-op, which was insane. They can do a co-op mode if they want this game to thrive. You know, if you allow me to be the creative director, producer, the CEO for Konami, I would 100% put a co-op mode that's separate from the campaign, where you do missions together within the realm of the story. So like being able to invade where Ocelot comes out in the beginning, or maybe later on when you get to the Metal Gear, and then have like a lot of Metal Gears, just like Peace Walker pretty much had some very cool boss fights and things like that that you can do with your friends. And I personally would have it in the game just to create a camaraderie between the community, because Metal Gear is a single player game and it's fun, but not a lot of people know the online versus mode, and then having a co-op can introduce them to that. That's just my opinion, but that's just how I feel. You guys know I'm too hardcore. I'll put all my eggs into that basket every day. But those are just some extra things that I've explored on my channel and talked about that I would love to see. None of this is confirmed. I just wanted to add it as my own hopes for anything like that, any extra content, because the game is going to be amazing to play. The story is amazing, but it's a remake, so having extra things. I talked about having like a speed run timer for people who beat the game and want to do a speed run after, doing modifiers on the game, changing enemies and locations and different things. So many ways to go about it that we've seen other games do that could be incredible. So please feel free to share any thoughts, ideas, or just general impressions of all of this. And also let me know what you want to see. We are covering this game extensively recently, but we do cover the whole series. And I've been working on my other YouTube channels, just to be honest with you guys, to build them up and partner up. I would love to do YouTube full time. Of course, I would have to get a big following from the community to be able to really do that full time, but I would absolutely be humbled and blessed to have that as a focal point. So show love, support here or on the other channels, but mainly know that I am going to be coming back through all the series and discussing all of the very cool things that it has to offer, because this is the reason I made this channel, was strictly my passion and love for the series, wanting to explore it a little deeper, sharing my thoughts. So share yours in the comments, and I have some more cool videos popping up right now about the series that might interest you. Should be popping up. See you there. All right, take care.